Hi everybody, my name's Tish. Welcome back to my channel. So here in this space, I just like to keep things real and talk about stuff like marriage and kids and self-care and the craziness of life with kids and how busy it is as a mom and trying to do all the things. So if you like what you hear, subscribe so that every time I release a video, you'll get it. I usually release them on Fridays. And if not, I'll always release them on Fridays, but sometimes I like to add something in the middle of the week just for fun. So today, what I wanted to talk about is marriage. And not just marriage, like being married and having kids, okay? Because it totally changes everything. So I met my now husband. We first met when I was like, what, 14, 15 years old. So I've known him for more than half of my life. I got married really young. We got married very, very young. We got married, I was 19. I think Tom was 22, 22 or 23, one of those. Anyway, so we got married really young and it was great. Like, we knew what we wanted, we knew what we both wanted. Um, and I don't regret getting married young at all. We didn't have kids until 5 years after we got married. So I feel like we got to have a lot of alone time together. And then we were like, okay, well, you know what? We didn't really even talk about it. We didn't really talk about it. One day, literally, Tom looked at me and was like, "You're pregnant." And I was like, okay, sure. What are you, God? Whatever. Anyways, but like, I was having crazy symptoms, but I wasn't thinking in my head, oh, I'm pregnant. Like, that was the last thing on my mind because, again, young married couple, having fun, just doing stuff, going out, whatever. Like, whatever. We never really talked about when we wanted to start having kids. That wasn't the thing. Anyways, but he was right. So that night I went to Walmart at Square One and I got my first pregnancy test and it was positive. And Tom was like, I told you. Like, he was not shocked at all. Me, I'm like, the first thing that came into my head was, holy crap, my mom is gonna kill me. I'm married and I'm still like totally concerned about what my mom was gonna say. Anyways, so long story short, we had our first, I was 24. 24? Was I 24? I don't know. Weird. I think I was 24 when we had Tessa. Anyways, so 3 kids later, um, let me tell you, it is not easy maintaining a healthy marriage when you have kids. Like, you have to be so intentional. Like, for real. So intentional. Because, like, as they grow and their needs grow and sleep deprivation and all of the things that as parents, if you are parents to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, how many kids you have, you know. For those of you who are not parents yet, like, it is the best thing. Like, this video is not to discourage you from having kids at all, because honestly, it's the best. It is so much fun. It is hell of a lot of work, but it is so much fun. So this is not to discourage you from having kids, but it is to encourage you to be so intentional with your spouse. So intentional. Because just the other day, like, Tom and I are like, we're busy. Like, he renovates houses and he does that stuff. He's really, really handy. I'm so glad that I married a guy that knows how to do stuff because, first of all, it's hella hot. Like, when your husband can just do anything, it's really sexy. Anyways, sorry, I digress. Anyways, so, yeah, you have to be really intentional because the other day, so he's working on a basement and I'm, doing all of the things like keeping everything afloat here while he's out there working. And I look at him Like, we're in the kitchen and I look at him and I'm like, you're like a stranger to me. You're like a stranger who sleeps in the same bed as me. I don't know you. And he looks at me like, okay. And I'm like, no, but seriously, like, when's the last time we talked? And I mean, like, talk without being tired. Because usually our talking is after all the kids are in bed. Because if you have kids, especially if you have more than one, talking to your spouse uninterrupted is not possible unless you lock your kids away in a room. It's like they can be doing their own thing, like playing with their Lego, playing with their toys, upstairs reading a book. But the second mom and dad sit down to talk, they're like, oh, wait a minute. They want alone time? What, they want to talk? Nope, not on my watch. And they all come and they're, mommy, mommy, daddy, daddy, look at this. And it's like they do like, okay, for those parents that like tolerate or humor their kids while they do like ridiculous things, like Caleb will come up to me and be like, mommy, watch this. That's literally all he does. And I'm looking at him like, was that worth my attention though? Like, I'm sorry if that offends you, um, as a mom, to hear me say that. I'm not one of those moms that's like, oh my gosh, everything you do is so good. Nope, don't clap for crap. One of my friends said that to me once and it has stuck in my head. You don't clap for crap. Okay? Like, I'm not one of those kid moms that like says to their kids that everything they do is awesome, because it's not. So if I'm doing something and you're literally calling me to show me this, check yourself. Check your heart. You know, just check your heart. Anyways. So yeah, so Tom and I were talking, like, we haven't talked in a long time. And for me, I know, like, I don't always get to have, I call it human conversation, but like conversation with people that are over the age of 10. Like, I don't generally get that in the day. I don't have time, or things are just busy, or whatever. Like, I may, in passing, if I see a mom, we're both walking our kids to school, we may like stop and talk for like 10 minutes when the kids are off in school. But generally speaking, like, I don't, and there's a lot going on in my head, right? And there's things that, like, I can't talk to my 19-month-old about, you know, how I'm feeling in my life. First of all, he doesn't care. Second of all, he just wants to play. Third of all, what is he gonna do? How is he gonna help me, right? So um, yeah, so the longer that Tom and I went without speaking, and it wasn't like we weren't fighting or anything. It's just like we weren't being intentional. And it's hard to remember to be intentional when you have all of these things going on. And so I was like, I just miss you. I miss talking to you. And the thing is, I can be in my head a lot. It's really important for you to know who you are as a person and like what your triggers are, what sets you off, what makes your brain wander. Because I feel like there are a million things out there that are always trying to take our attention away, not only from ourselves, but from our marriage, right? Like, there's so many things that are like trying to get in the way and like almost like trying to sabotage your marriage. I don't know. Like, I'm not being over spooky or whatever, but like, it's just seems like there are things that, you know, just try to get in the way of you having a successful marriage. And so I know for myself, I can be in my head a lot and I can make up stories in my head. So if I don't talk to my husband for a long time, like we don't actually have intentional conversations, then I'm like, wait a minute, does he even love me? Wait a minute, do I love him? And it's like my brain goes from 0 to 100. It's crazy. And when I don't have the time to sit down and be like, hey, let's just connect, right? Because I am big on like, I love deep, deep connections. I am not a surface type person. I don't have friendships like that, and I don't want them because I'm not interested in surface conversations. I'm just not, right? Like, conversations that are deep and like meaningful, and like friendships that are deep and meaningful and not just an acquaintance thing. That's what gives me life, right? So as much as I love my alone time, and I love my alone time, I also love deep connections. with people. And my husband is number one. Like, I long for a deep connection with him. So, yeah, so it's important for me to get that out and to speak to him about how I'm feeling so that I'm not living in my head, because sometimes I just need that reassurance that, yes, of course I still love you. Yes, of course you're still the sun, moon, and stars to me. Yes, of course you're still the sexiest woman that I know. Because, and I think that stems from like my own upbringing and like issues. And this is not a counseling session, so I'm not gonna tell you all my crap. But yeah, sometimes I just need him and I just to sit down, and we need to remind each other of why we're in this and why this is important. And to remind each other that if this doesn't work, if our relationship doesn't work, then the house doesn't work. Being parents doesn't work, because we have to be together on the same page, right? So, something that really, really cute that he did, which was so funny. He was like, "Yeah, but we connected last Thursday, remember?" So we haven't been able to get out and have a date, just one on one. And we usually try to do that at least, I would say, twice a month, just to get out of the house without the kids. We haven't been able to do that. So he went and got us sushi and this candle. It's like this fake little candle that looks like it has a real flame. He put it on the table and he's like, "Oh, look, it's a little date." And it was super cute. Like, it was super, super cute. And it was needed, because then we were still tired as hell, but we got to sit down and talk, which was really good. But when he was like, "Yeah, but we connected last Thursday." And I'm like, "What? So what, we're only connecting once a week now?" So it's just really important to make and carve that time out, right? And so what we try to do, is, because again, to tell the kids, "Hey, I need you to go to your rooms for an hour and not come out until mommy and daddy are done speaking." We can't do that because, again, well, I'm with them all the time, but Tom doesn't get to see them all the time like I do. So he wants to spend time with them, and we want to spend time with them together as a family, whatever. But we're very like strict with our time in terms of getting them to bed. So our kids, my youngest is in bed at 7, the other two are in bed at 8. Like, sometimes goes to 8:30, 9, but we try our best to get them in bed at 8 so that we can sit down and we can talk about our day and what's going on and just whatever, right? So that's really healthy for us. And even if it's just like half an hour, honestly, like, even if it's just like half an hour or even 20 minutes of uninterrupted, you and me, let's connect on the couch, let's talk. It fills me up, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel secure in who we are. And it makes me know that he sees me, and it lets him see that I see him. And we also try to, like, in those times, like, put away our phones, turn them off, just so we can zone in, because it's so easy to like scroll and get lost in it. You're still talking, but you get lost in like the scrolling, and you're not really paying attention to each other anymore. Anyways, so it's really important. Um, Not only that, but like getting into it, like, it's also important for your intimacy as well. Like, I'm not the type of person that can be intimate with my husband and not have like an emotional connection with him. Like, that's not me, right? Like, for me, the two go hand in hand. And so also, like, I want our kids to see what a healthy marriage looks like. Now, let me tell you, we are not poster people for we have perfect marriages. We do not. We argue. Um, we have disagreements, as everybody does, which they're getting better. And I mean, in the sense that we are getting better at arguing, because we are getting better at communicating with each other as we're having a disagreement, because we are totally polar opposites when it comes to conflict and resolution. I shut down when I'm upset and I'm in an argument, I shut down. Not because I'm trying to be difficult and give him the silent treatment. I mean, like sometimes, yes, maybe, but not all the time. For me, I need to think about why I'm upset. Tom is very quick with his words, right? So if I'm explaining how I'm feeling with something, he may feel defensive, and then he starts bringing stuff up that maybe I've done, right? When I'm not trying to point fingers at him, I'm just trying to explain to him how I feel. But when that happens, then I shut down because then I get even more upset. But then I have to figure out, like, why am I upset? Because if I keep on talking, I'm going to say something that I regret. I know I'm going to. Whereas Tom, he's a fixer. Like, he fixes by speaking. Let's talk about it. Let's hash it out. And so we've had to learn how to deal with each other's ways of communicating and arguing as well. So he has had to learn, okay, I need to give her a space so that she can think about it, and then we can come back and talk about it. But I also am learning. I mean, I think I've been doing pretty well at it. Well, pretty good at it, pretty well at it, whatever. At letting him know, like, hey, I want to resolve this, but I feel like I'm going to rip somebody's head off, and I just need some time to breathe. See, that is what I need to communicate to him. I need to let him know, like, I'm not shutting you out. I'm not trying to be difficult. I just need time to think this through, and then let's come back together and talk about it, right? So just like understanding those different things about each other, and that's only going to come through communication, and that's why it's so important to carve out the time to communicate with your spouse. It is not easy when you are always on the go and you have kids that have other activities and you're here, there, and you're everywhere, and you just want to spend time with yourself and you want to do your own thing. It is not easy to communicate all the time, but it is so essential. So, one thing I would encourage you to do if you are in that position where you're like, oh, this is really difficult and blah, blah, like, you have to make time in your day. You have to make time. So, even if your spouse travels, like, I don't know, I've never had a traveling spouse before, but like, I don't know if it would work like, I don't know, we're going to call each other at this time and we're going to talk about this, or just making the time intentional in your day to talk and to communicate with each other, because without you guys functioning, the home doesn't really function, right? And like, I come from a family of divorce. My parents had split up and my mom remarried again. And so um I believe, and see this, okay, so this part is difficult because I'm not saying that people that are from a house that of divorce are not healthy. That's not what I'm saying at all. My mom did her absolute best and I turned out pretty freaking awesome, right? So I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that it is important to model for your children what a healthy marriage looks like. It's important for them to see that because we, you, you know what I'm trying to say. You and your husband or your wife or your whatever, you are the example that you're setting for your kids so that when they grow up and they go out there and meet somebody or whatever, how your marriage was is going to be an example to them of what marriage is supposed to look like. And so what we're trying our best to do, and we fail, we mess up, like, we're human. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. But we really try our best to catch ourselves, to be like, what example are we giving to the kids? And not only that, like, I want to be happy with my husband. I want to be happy with him when the kids are here, and I want to be happy with him one day when they leave. And I think that communicating now and not waiting until like the kids are older and not waiting until life gets less hectic, communicating now in the stress, in the chaos is so important, because I think that's going to set you up for something really healthy, as you grow older together, right? So it's just something to think about, just something that's been on my head and something that I'm constantly working through, and something that I honestly like. I talk about a lot to like other moms too, to see how they do stuff. Just because I think it's really important. And I love my husband. I love him so, so, so much. And I believe that as, the older that we grow together and the more, years we pile on onto this marriage, like I want us to be happy, and I want us to be successful, and I want our kids to see, what health looks like. And even when we mess up, that's a big thing, is we, with our kids too, we make it very, like, we're very intentional with apologizing to them if we need to apologize. Um, because I want them to see that they're not the only ones that make mistakes. If Tom and I are having an argument, like, there's some things that we definitely shelter the kids from, absolutely. But then there are other things that we allow them to see, and we allow them to see how we work out conflict, and we allow them to see us apologize to each other, and we allow them to see us work things through, right? And I think that that's really healthy. I don't know, like, that's just what we do. That may not be right for you, but for us, it's been really good. It's been really good. And yeah, anyways, so I don't want to ramble on anymore. I just wanted to kind of put that in your head and let you think about it. Like, are you being intentional with the time that you have with your spouse? Are you making sure that you're looking at your day and really being intentional with setting in time to connect with each other and to just be with each other and show each other love, even if it's just for a few minutes? Cool. So I hope you liked this video. I would really like you to subscribe, for real, because I don't know, I think I have some cool stuff to say, and I like hanging out with you guys, even though I don't see you. Anyways, yeah, so hope you have an awesome day. Hope you have an awesome weekend. Oh my gosh, it's the weekend. But when you have kids and you're not actually working outside of the home, because, okay, I'm going to rant. Working inside of the home, raising your children, is a full-time job. Do not get it twisted. Do not belittle what you do. But every day kind of seems like Groundhog Day to me. Like, it's all the same. So when the weekend comes, unless I'm like hanging out with a friend, which I am tonight, I'm so excited. I'm getting out of the house by myself. I'm going to hang out with my friend, and it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. It's been a long time coming. Anyways, hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope you have fun with your kids, and hope you have a lot of fun with your spouse. And I'll check in with you later. Bye.